welcome back to the Lycan project. Today I'm going to run through my October wrap up. I successfully completed 6 books on my TBR, which is good. I found them a bit of a mood reader, so we'll start with the order in which I finished them. We have Andrew Patterson is a famous poet from Australia, so everyone kind of knows him. He did Man from Snowy River. I gave this, because it was a short little book, it was meant to be spooky books. I gave this 3 stars. Really, it wasn't my sort of poetry, but it was a nice Australian classic to get to. So I finished that, and then I went on to a short story that is in the Splintered series by A.G. Howard called The Moth and the Mirror. So it has sort of 3 small stories in it that bridge between Splintered and the second one, which is Unhinged. So it sort of follows Morpheus and Jeb, who are the 2 sort of love rivals. Morpheus being from the fantastical world and Jeb being from Alyssa's world, like human. So it's an Alice in Wonderland retelling, so she falls through the rabbit hole. And so it kind of just follows along those stories, and I rediscovered that I really enjoy Howard's writing. So I gave that 5 stars. So that was a 5-star read for me. Graphic novel, called Through the Woods by Emily Carroll, which is sort of a bind up of sort of webcomic she's put through. I adored this. It's probably going to turn up in favorites or like a highly recommend video later. So this is a 5-star read for me as well. It's 5 mystery stories that kind of take you through, and there is a thread that sort of starts with children in a cabin in the woods, and then ends with cabin in the woods as well, of the same children. But they go, there's some like very spooky and eerie tales. So Escaping from Houdini, which is the 3rd. I did the audiobook with my wife, Leanne, from a Bookworm Ivy, so I'll link her channel down below. It's the 3rd in the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco, where we're following Audrey Rhodes and Thomas Cresswell as they're on a ship towards America, heavily involved in the deaths and killings that happen on the boat through their forensic knowledge and their intertwined love story. Obviously Houdini, so we're introduced to sleight of hand, escape, illusions, like the carnival atmosphere. So it was really enjoyable. I then went on to probably one of my favourite classics. Also, it was one of those spooky books that you choose, which is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I assume a lot of people know the story. Basically, a scientist decides to create life in the form of a monster. The monster then rejects the life that he's created, and then the monster decides that if you're going to treat me like a monster, I'll behave like a monster, and then seeks to gain the approval of his father, who is Victor Frankenstein. And so it's sort of a cautionary tale situation. And then I rounded out the month with Samantha Shannon's The Bone Season, Pride of the Orange Tree, which is her newest read. It follows clairvoyance in a dystopian future London, and how the Bone Season is basically there's Frankenstein. Reread Frankenstein. I gave it 4 stars. Solid, still enjoyed. It was also interesting because I went and in my Monster-a-thon I read Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein, so I was curious to sort of go back to the source material and read through that again. So I did that. Then I went on to Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, which I'll put is the first book in her Bone Season series, which follows the level of clairvoyance. There are 7 different types of clairvoyance. It's set in a dystopian future London where clairvoyancy is not allowed. So they're kind of put into a prison, and then every 20 years there's a bone season, and then apparently, unbeknownst to her and all the clairvoyants, there is sort of a secret little Oxford. Well, it's not secret, but like Oxford's seem to have died. That there's a lot more happening in the world than we believe. I know there is. There's a read along happening for October, November, December, following through the series of the books to coincide with the release of the 4th book in January, February next year. 4 stars, because I found it it jumps around a bit in place. But I've also read Pale Dreamer, which is a short story that kind of it doesn't bridge, but it kind of gave me a dip in. So 3 of the 6 books I read in October. So I had a really good reading month. The only thing that I kind of was iffy about was Banjo Patterson, but it was along the lines of it's not my style. I have a great range of other books videos down below, so give me a like, subscribe. If you have any thoughts or ideas on things I would like this, please let me know in the comments on Instagram or Twitter. Please help us create a better pack through making the choices of what media you consume. And thank you and goodbye!